You're on the air. What's up?
Hey John and Sally, it's Metal for Truth for
Yeah,
everyone.
Hi.
I got another volume problem with him. Can you get a little closer?
Uh, always, can you hear me now? Is that better?
This is
No,
it's the same.
same.
All right, there you go.
That's better.
That better?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
What's up, man?
Um, Kind of going back to what you were talking about before with Venezuela and Iran.
Mhm.
I was wondering why you think that the rest of the world hasn't done more to kind of like um not rely so much on the United States for their economy since since so many countries make so much money off of us just by selling stuff to us. Um, it would seem like if they had such a problem with us, wouldn't they try to isolate us a little bit more by, I guess, working together and opening up more trade or removing trade barriers
See,
between each other?
it seems that way, but we encounter the exact same problem when it comes to consumerism, even within the United States. And
Mhm.
and I went out to dinner with somebody earlier, and we were talking about the exact same thing and talking about Walmart. And he's like, well, you have a choice. You can either shop at Walmart or you can't, or you don't. You don't want to. And it's like,
Right.
okay, well, I gave him the example. I said, well, look, I make a little over $50,000 a year. I don't have to shop at Walmart if I don't want to. I can shop wherever the hell I like, and that's enough for me to exist. I can afford this. I can afford that.
Mhm.
But the majority of people don't make that much. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people are supporting families, and so they're going to make the smartest economic decision that they possibly can. And that's the smartest economic decision when it comes to buying in volume. And he brought up the example, well, what about a TV? Because I brought up quality of product. He was like, well, okay, we can buy this Sony TV over here. You can buy this Sony TV at Walmart. And it may be $300 cheaper at Walmart. And I'm like, well, that's true. However, how many times a year do you buy a Sony TV?
Mhm.
Whereas a lot of people that shop at Walmart go there every single week and they buy groceries, they buy clothes, they buy this and that, right? And the reason that this reflects on what you asked is that a lot of these countries are developing. Most countries in the world are developing as well as the United States. However, many of these countries around the world are actually pretty far behind the United States. And because the United States is that dominant global figure, okay, well, if you try and band together outside the United States dominates just enough of the economy to where if you, let's say, several third world countries get together and say, well, we're no longer going to participate with the United States imperialism, then the United States controls the market that they perhaps would have got their goods from. You see
Mhm.
what
Well, I
I'm
understand
saying?
that. I understand that, but I'm not exactly talking more about third world countries. I'm more along the lines of, say, Europe or Russia or
Well,
even
well,
China.
that's good. And the thing is like about China, you got to think about the motivations of these various governments. Now, China, they've got like a false flag up. Yeah, they're communist. However, but
Mhm.
we can clearly see that they're moving in a
They're not. Yeah, they're
capitalist.
really not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're very capitalist over there, and they want to take advantage. And here's the thing, and I actually applaud China for this, is that they're taking advantage of the capitalist system directly against the United States. But
Well, yeah, I mean, statistically they're supposed to overtake the United States as a global power in economics within the next 20 years.
sure.
And and I think it's yeah, I
So
applaud them
okay,
as well.
so to
Go
answer
ahead.
your question, what would be their motivation for stopping that and stepping outside of that economic system? Because it seems to work.
But see that they're still only just taking advantage of the United States and by
Mm-hmm.
because they have cheap labor, and then of course with all the exports, so they're just using their best resources, which is basically labor,
Mm-hmm.
to their advantage to make money off of the United States.
Right.
And I'm trying, and I understand that, and I applaud them because that's why they're growing so well. You can even say that India is slightly doing that as well.
Sure.
Not as much. They're much more, I think, pro-American than the Chinese are.
Yeah, yeah.
You
The
know,
Indians are totally just like us.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I talked to one kid from India who, he had a really pretty strong Indian accent, but he said that he spoke English better than his own language. So, but I mean, this is a strange example. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're basically just taking advantage of the opportunity that's the United States gave them because America is always is so capitalist that
Right.
natural economic fluctuation says, all right, let's go find some cheaper labor for low skilled labor, low skilled design or whatever, however you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying, like, why wouldn't more countries jump on that bandwagon that China has so like beautifully laid out? I mean, I
Well,
understand that
no,
most
well,
other
wait a
countries
second.
don't
Wait a
have the.
second. China's playing into it. Now,
Yeah, but
Venezuela and Iran are
they're
going
playing
against it.
into it into this they're playing into this sense that eventually we'll be ahead of them because I mean it's like a
Well, that's what I'm
David
saying,
versus
but you
Goliath
can't
type thing.
parallel. You can't say that Venezuela and Iran are doing anything similar because they're actually fighting against it with their own economic power, whereas China is playing directly into the system that's already put into place.
Mhm.
You see what I'm
But
saying?
I wouldn't say yeah, but I wouldn't say that they're playing into it because at the same time they're still
Well,
building
yeah,
they're
they're
making a
using the
lot of
system
money.
against the United States.
Exactly,
Well,
that's my
yeah,
point.
but it's still that system. So, okay, now China overtakes the United States. Now, who's in charge? China. But it's
I'm not
still the
saying I
system that's corrupt enough for Iran and Venezuela to fight against. So, it doesn't matter whether America or China is on top because Venezuela and Iran are still going to fight against the
Mhm.
imperialistic nature of capitalism.
Mhm.
So, China can play into it, but they'll always be an enemy of
well,
the.
we still at the moment don't know if China has any realistic ideas. I mean, at the moment, I would just say that they have
If they
more
play
Well,
more
it doesn't matter.
capitalistic ideas.
That's what large, powerful countries do. If they want to stay large and
Well, yeah,
powerful, it's what they
it's
will
the
always
natural,
do.
yeah, it's the natural economic order of world powers. I mean, right now China is buying up oil fields all over the world just
Mhm.
because they can because they have the money and they know that there's a demand for it.
Well, sure. I'm just
You
saying
know,
that in my eyes, whenever you ask that question, I say immediately that it doesn't matter whether because I see that China is playing into it, and if they become the power, it's not going to matter because it's the exact same system that the United States. And if even if they're using that system against them, and you might not see that they have the imperialistic tendencies, but you don't think it'll progress to that? They might not have it now, but once they take full charge of that system, why wouldn't they? I mean, it's a government structure, just like
well,
Russia. They took full
right.
advantage of it as well.
Well, I could see that. But then, like, what's the benefit for, I mean, countries, these smaller countries like Iran and Venezuela? I
Well,
mean,
there's no
They
immediate
have
benefit.
control, right? They have control of their economy.
Well, yeah, they have control of their local economy, and it's not affected by the U.S. dominant, control in trade. But
but
the
does that really help out the people? I mean, yeah, we're
in
in
the
control of
long
our
term,
economy. I mean, the Sweden is also, they say that they have a controlled economy.
hmm
Mhm.
It's a very socialist structure,
they
but they
do.
also have the highest suicide rate in the world. So I don't know if people might be a little bit disgruntled about that, but I think it's a funny example. But where exactly is the benefit for the people or something like
It's
that?
it's
I mean,
it's a
because
it
I'm just saying because progress for that country would slow down if you're isolating yourself from everyone else.
you're
Yeah.
not isolating, but well,
Well,
you
just from the
are.
U.S.
But it's like I said, I always say short term, long term. America does everything for short term, instant gratification, and that's what China's doing now. In the short term, China, yeah, with you said within 20 years they're going to be the dominant economic force. They're doing it for that short term gain. All right, and then they
Mhm.
feel like and the same thing the United States felt. They said, oh, well, as long as we have this, then we'll always have this amount of capital to dominate the market, and we can stay on top, which is completely false because that money starts to go away, and you also get countries like Iran and Venezuela fighting against it. Okay, so you naturally end up in that scenario. But all that aside, what benefit does it give to Venezuela and Iran? Well, that's a real long-term gain because in the short term, it makes everything more costly. It actually, yeah, it does take away from the people because the governments no longer will do business with the countries that control the global market. But what it does in long term is take away the business from the countries that control the global market. Now, when you start taking away that business, they start missing the business, weakening their control over the global market. Once you weaken it, then it's time to strike and you know, attain absolute control, not necessarily absolute, but attain control over the global market yourself. Or if you structure it just right, which is what I think they're trying to do by having multiple countries invest in this, is have it to where there is competition from natural resources among countries. I mean, in my eyes, that's the way it should work anyway. I mean, you have regional governments, basically. Countries are drawn along regional lines. I mean, you've got Venezuela, you've got Brazil that has certain natural resources, you've got Iran that has them, you got the United States that has them. And ideally, I think that they would trade upon those. Problem is that when you have imperialism, of course, the United States, in a diplomatic way, will try and control someone else's resources. But I think what Iran and Venezuela are trying to do is say, hey, we have these natural resources, but we can work together, and we're not saying either one of us are essential power or whatever, but
Right.
we're able to contribute to one central cause, which is, the trade and neutralization of power.
Um, but that doesn't. That's.
Yeah, it
I mean,
doesn't do anything
how?
short term.
Yeah,
It doesn't make a
exactly.
lot of sense.
It doesn't even make sense long term because I mean you can't really attract. I mean, I guess like Switzerland could be a good example of the same thing of something that
Well,
kind of grew up in Europe as being neutral and then just kind of
well,
became a center for trade and
well,
economics. Go ahead.
what it would do for long term is allow these countries to maintain power based upon their ability to contribute to the world, based upon their natural resources.
Right.
I mean, of course, it would give certain countries their, natural advantage, okay? Because the world currently relies on oil, then, okay, a country like Iran would have a hand up. But so would Venezuela, and so would Russia. As a matter of fact, they just cut off oil through, what country was that?
Pakistan.
No, one of the former USSR countries, Belarus.
Okay.
They just cut off flowing to Germany. You should know that.
I know that. I know that they've increased how much they're selling to Germany though.
Right.
I think it's
Well,
like
yeah, in a
40% or
different
something.
pipeline, but they say the pressure went down because they cut it off to Belarus.
Right.
But
I don't do
anyway,
too much of that stuff. Everyone's. Go ahead.
so anyway, they, it centralizes power, but based on certain resources. Okay, now oil's not always going to be a resource,
Right.
and 30 years from now, it's not going to be. It's not going to be the dominant resource in the world. Now, okay, these countries, Iran and Venezuela, this is kind of what they rely on now. So maybe they are thinking short term. Maybe I'm putting a little too many eggs in their basket and saying, hey, they're moving in the right direction. But it's like I said, on an ideal model, I think they're moving in the right direction. However, they may be thinking short term based upon the fact that, yeah, the natural resource that they rely upon is expendable, is um, uh, what word? Expendable, and it will go away, and it will no longer be.
Finite.
Yeah,
That the word
exactly.
you're looking for.
And they, it will no longer be finite, and so it stops there. But
Right.
but the direction that they're moving in, and maybe here's the maybe, is that another country that doesn't necessarily have anything to contribute now will join up in their cause. And 30 years from now, that country that joined in that cause to begin with now has natural allies who had something to contribute to the world 20 years ago, are now able to contribute something to the world now. And so that gives them a certain amount of power, and Iran and Venezuela gave them the opportunity to get on the world stage and participate in the global economy that imperialism would have hindered to begin with, because they didn't necessarily have the right resource to contribute at the time, but in the future they might.
Well, I mean, that begs the question. I mean, what could they possibly be expecting if they are thinking long term? I mean, instead of just slowly maintaining all their, doing all their investments internally and just keeping some sort of economic growth, without doing too much external trade.
Well,
But I mean, there's always going to be. I mean, nowadays it's necessary almost completely necessary to have some sort of foreign trade policy.
Well,
I mean, because
that's
everyone
right,
gets
but I
everything
think
in.
that's what they're encouraging.
But
Um,
they're kind of like making like small little groups. I mean, like you said, Iran and Venezuela are really good friends.
right, but what other
Venezuela.
groups are out there? I mean,
I
that's
mean,
the real thing.
Venezuela is probably like linked up with all of South America.
No,
Um,
they're linked up with Bolivia, Nicaragua, which the new president is about to be installed in Nicaragua, and when he does, Chavez has already announced he's going to sign some agreements there for socialist incentives, and I think Brazil had uh, a left wing presidency, but there's something wrong. But most of South America controlled by imperialist America. They're not. No.
oh, but Brazil isn't. Brazil is completely energy independent. I mean, that's like the biggest trump card that America has on the rest of the world. The fact that, you know, we control the oil market practically. I mean,
Well, we do
now
control the
Brazil.
oil market in the Western Hemisphere. Period. Even
Yeah, but
even with
Brazil doesn't
Chavez
need,
causing these problems.
but Brazil doesn't need any of the oil. So how can they even be considered part of the American imperialistic society or whatever? I mean,
Well,
they're
it's like I said. I can't remember exactly, but there was something. But they're not considered. None of the countries are. But what it is that they rely. Here's the thing. But here's what makes Chavez so important is that all these countries in South America that we're talking about, Brazil, Chile, Argentina, is that, well, yeah, they are sovereign and they don't necessarily fall under the direct dominant control of the United States. However, they fell under the direct resource control of Venezuela previous to Chavez coming into power.
Mhm.
So that's the thing. But who controlled Venezuelan natural resources previous to Chavez?
I guess it was U.S.
Yeah.
Well, so
So
it's
the
but like
policy
nevertheless,
change.
it's still a slow trend of pulling away. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is. It's extremely slow. That's why I'm always talking about such long-term things, and no one wants to think long-term because, yeah, I mean, you want to see change, but the fact is that short-term change always means long-term bad,
hmm
and so it's kind of like you got to find some kind of balance there, and it's like I said, that independence among Iran and Venezuela just seems like a step in the right direction. I am not saying they're 100% right, and I'm not even saying they're looking into the long term. They might not be, but I can see it to be a long term positive thing as long as they see it that way. Well, of course they
right.
might not. They're politicians, whatever.
Well, actually, I have a question. Do you know if I mean if those countries, Venezuela and Iran, are energy independent as well? Or do we just no one gives them
Oh,
energy?
Venezuela is currently energy independent, and he's actually, just like I said earlier, he nationalized basically every resource that they have, which before they were independent, and they all social programs were funded by the American corporations there since he
Right.
nationalized them, which hasn't went into full effect yet. This was just announced last week that once they go into full effect, then of course they'll be absolutely independent. And Iran, I can't say entirely. I think that Iran relies on Russia for several things, just
Well, and
off the
there's a
top of
lot of
my
trade.
head.
Well, there's a lot of trade between those two. So I mean, it's not even like
Right.
yeah,
So
it's
I
not
so
even
I
like
can't say
significant.
entirely in that way, but I can say that that they're it's like I said that they're moving in the I can't say correct either. They're moving in the right direction.
I I just think it's kind of neat that they would be banding together to do this because it's at least it's saying that American imperialism isn't okay and that some countries aren't gonna stand for it anymore. I mean, it's at
Well,
least
that
just a kind of interesting like
well that's right.
screw you to America.
Well, let me reflect back on that conversation I was having earlier about Walmart with my friend. Is that okay? Well, that's fine. Consumers can make their choices or whatever, but it's not necessarily going to affect the overall market. However, let's say Target and what's another retailer out there?
Kmart.
Kmart. All right, Target and Kmart got together all of a sudden and said, let's combine our forces and well, that's kind of a bad example. Maybe
Yeah.
a little smaller.
You know that Sears and Kmart are joined together. Actually, I don't know if they So
I don't know.
yeah, they like actually Kmart bought out Sears a couple years ago.
I don't doubt that. Sears kind of sucks.
Well, Kmart was worse technically.
Yeah, well, they both went downhill. But anyway, it's basically like, well, but which by the way, I believe that Walmart's going to suffer the same fate as Sears Roebuck. But anyway, say you get two lesser companies and they, they can compete because they supply Walmart perhaps, and then they kind of band together and they say, well, fuck this, and we're literally going to give money to a central fund, and this central fund is going to give money back, kind of like cash back incentives for customers and stuff like that, and you know what? That's going to draw a lot of people in because in the end, who are you going to stand beside? You going to stand beside Walmart or are you going to stand beside people? Because people are going to be drawn more towards people. The incentives that are put there, which are more social, which is, hey, this is people working together in the interest of people, and that's clear. We
But
can't.
no, for the end user, for the customer, I mean that they're not thinking about something like that. I think they'd be thinking more along the lines of what's cheaper,
Yeah, well, that's
as long
currently
as they can
what's
find the
going
same
on.
price.
And that may be true, but say these two corporations put their money together and they're able to make it cheaper for people to
Right,
undercut Walmart
right.
because they're able to put that amount of liquid asset in there. They may be losing their ass. And I also got in a conversation about the difference between Microsoft and Sony. Is that Microsoft lost their ass for like 3 years producing the Xbox. And they knew they were going to do it. When they first announced the Xbox, I remember, they said, we're going to lose money. And they had projected they would lose money for like 18 months and it wouldn't be a problem because Microsoft had enough money.
Money, yeah, they have no money.
Yeah, it didn't matter. So that's the whole thing. You get these companies together and they're able to expend that amount of money and they're able to undercut, and then what that does is weaken at the knees this huge corporation. It weakens that American imperialism.
Well, I mean, but like, you're fighting imperialism with imperialism. I mean,
Well, you're fighting imperialism with
Kind of.
yeah, kind of, but you're using its own system against it, but in a more effective way than say China is, because China is using the system by adopting the system, but these countries are using the system by adopting the system, but by proxy,
hmm
not directly,
right.
and by adopting it by proxy, they're able to
Wait, what do you mean by
still
proxy?
operate independently.
What do you mean by proxy? Like how?
By proxy, because they're able to just contribute money and be diplomatic and consult amongst themselves as to what changes should be made rather than directly like China is saying, well, we're adopting this system and we're doing it. This is our government's policy now. Whereas
Right.
these two countries are getting together and saying, okay, we're contributing X amount of money to this fund, and we both have say in what it does. Okay, now is it creating a different world power?
Yeah,
Perhaps.
it's a different. It's a new world order.
Well, it's a new world, yeah, but it's different. Therefore, in my eyes, it's better.
Well, it's anti-imperialistic.
Hmm.
It's all smaller countries getting together to, basically fend off the big one guy.
That's yeah,
Yeah.
and if it creates another world power, then shit, well, then we'll have to fight that. We always need something to fight anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But in the
But
meantime,
yeah,
we have
that's
to
just
take down what's down now because I see the next step as being progressive and being a little bit less fucked up as the one before. Just a little bit. If it's just a little bit, then okay.
what do you mean, like the next change
Yeah,
world
if
power?
if that were to be the world power that were initially targeted directly to be in the consumer's interest in the economy, then okay, that's a little bit better than imperialism because imperialism forgot the consumer a long time ago.
True.
So if we can put a little bit more power in the consumer's hands, then okay, it's a small step. It is a long-term step. That means that yeah, 30 years from now, it's going to affect us, but not tomorrow. Not tomorrow. But
But
to
I
me, that's more important. That's more fulfilling to me. That makes me feel better that we're taking steps to the future rather than, what we're going to do next week or what's going to affect the interest rates, a year from now. I'm
well,
not
I mean
concerned with that.
that still goes back to like my original point. I mean, as far as like countries um, ganging up on, or joining forces rather, because it would still, in order for it to create change, there has to be some sort of catalyst for it. In
Hmm.
America, the main catalyst, the first thing that would really have to happen is that for the power brokers to have, well, less power, and that would be less economic control in the world, so that they have to go back and basically, rework the society in America to, start making
I
it
don't see it that I don't see it that drastically. I
well,
see it when an economy fails, people adapt. I don't see it as any restructuring.
well, yeah, that's what the Great Depression was all about. I mean, that was
Mm,
that's why you
but
see
I don't
these
see that
people from.
happening again.
It
I,
won't happen like that severely, yes, but I mean the theory still holds. I mean that's why
sure.
you have these old money families, where they're still playing polo and hunting dogs, hunting
Right.
foxes with dogs and shit, because they never had to change the way they were working.
Sure.
But basically the point is that something has to peak at some point, and I think that I'm surprised more countries. I guess it's only been like a few years. I mean, 9/11 really rewrote the book
Yeah, we're
on.
we're talking about. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is a lot. Anytime I talk about the economy, I'm really coming from an understanding of the economy for the past 20, 30 years, perhaps. I
Mhm.
mean, I see and I know the way the economy worked before then, but as far as the real dynamics of it, it's really gotten quick. I mean, the economy is moving extremely fast, and I think that people
Right.
aren't catching up to this. That people are stuck in that old school kind of Great Depression mentality that, okay, well, yeah, we can have this. I mean, you've got these scare words like recession, depression, and these interest rates that are going up and down, and that's concerning people. But really, because of my understanding of the current economic structure and knowing of the past, then I can say, well, all this is inconsequential to the fact that it's dying,
Right.
it's
Well,
whimpering. Right
well,
now,
the
our
the
economy's
interesting
whimpering.
statistic, the interesting statistic is to relate our GDP growth to the standard of living,
Mm.
because
Yes,
that's
that's been transverse or
really exactly. I mean, there's more billionaires now. I forgot what the
I
exact.
well I actually did that in one of my videos. And I don't remember what it
Really?
was, but it was in 1970. The ratio of what was it?
Billionaires? No, or millionaires?
Well, it was top income earners to average income earners. The ratio was like 10 to 1, and in 2003, I think it was 20 to 1.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's gone crazy.
Well,
But
that
like the point is, it's like the middle class or the working class, has sort of they've worked hard. The power brokers have worked hard to kind of keep them kind of stagnant and not allow them to move up too much.
well, that's right. There's been very well. There's been
I
actually
mean,
no
there's
progress
right.
in the especially in the manufacturing sector, considering all the outsourcing. So it's like,
Yeah,
all right, you put together the
because yeah,
big
because the reason
picture, and you start to understand that the United States has effectively uh, marginalized itself in the world economy. Now, it can take advantage of the current world economy, and that brings us right back into China. China's overtaking America because manufacturing is where the money's at. And
right.
because China has all the manufacturing now, the United States is relying on tech jobs. Okay, now those will rely, but
First, what America did, I think, is that they outsourced um, low skilled labor to China and to the entire Orient.
sure.
That's what the main thing was, and which basically just was a main step in first isolating the working class of America and keeping them down. And now, yes, there's more of a trend towards high skilled labor. That's kind of like a new I don't know, economic factor that they've
Mm-hmm.
put in like the past 20 years. But I still don't see like like a powerful trend of that moving up, especially since China, even their technology or Japanese technology. I mean, that's kind of.
I- well,
I mean, we kind of invent it and they kind of put it together.
right. Well, but the reason I see it as a big trend is because of the economic impact it's had within the United States. I don't see a big economic consequence of manufacturing outsourcing. That's just one thing. That's okay. China takes it up, Taiwan takes it up. Neither here nor there. Anybody can take it up. We can outsource it. Australia, it won't matter.
All right.
But because the reason it won't matter is because of the emphasis. Now, how old are you?
22.
Okay. Well, I'm 26, and when I was in school, in middle school, it really started kicking in. In high school, that's when they started throwing it at you. Is that you need to get educated.
Hmm.
And I was 15, 16 years old. You need your education because everything is going tech. I mean, I had just got the internet, everything, and so either you're in it or you're not. So but here's the thing is that society did not conform to that immediately.
Right.
That was the major problem in the United States is that okay, well you threw this at everybody, so all of a sudden you expect, oh well, everybody all of a sudden is going to get educated and work in technology field. But see, that's not true.
Right.
Now, what
It is.
that creates is that okay, well, everybody, they drop out of school. I'm a high school dropout, and so people drop out of school. They graduate. It doesn't matter, or they don't complete their graduate. It doesn't, with the community college, whatever. They don't complete this. So then, all right. So we don't have enough people to fill the tech jobs, and we've got plenty of people out there to do manufacturing. And even in the manufacturing that I work in, it's like walking a fucking tightrope as to whether we could be put out of business or not. And it's only a matter of time. I mean, there's a clock ticking on my manufacturing business. And you know what? We're
What
the
business is
largest
that?
in the world in what we do. But
What
there is
business
such
is
a
that?
fine line because China could take it at any moment. But to move this point along is that where all those tech jobs went? Can you take a guess?
Tech jobs?
Mm-hmm. All those jobs that was pushed on my generation. I mean, my specific, and when I say my generation, I mean specifically people that right now are like 24 to 28 years old. I mean, because the reason is because I came to age during the tech bubble.
Right.
Starting in like 97 and
Hmm.
ending in 99. So it
Right.
was heavily pushed on us. So where do you think all those jobs went?
They went abroad.
India.
India.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Have you ever called for technical
Well,
assistance
no,
on
yeah, I know
anything?
that, but I didn't think it. I figured that was actually more recent as far as
No, that was the consequence. Well, it is more recent. It's been more exponential. You know why? Because it didn't motivate anybody to go to school, even people your age and people Sally's age. No one wants to go to school for tech jobs still.
Right.
The internet's not
Especially
new.
not after Office Space.
Well, that's right. And you know what? The main thing that motivated my generation and even some of my friends to go to school and learn it is because the internet was new.
Right.
Because we understood it and we wanted to go and learn it. But see, it's not new to you, and it's not new to Sally. She grew up with it.
Right.
I didn't. It was new to us, and we understood it. So it was pushed on us heavily. All right, so now, right now, we've got a
Did you
generation in
go?
high
Did you go
school.
through high school? Did you go through high school without the internet? Or
Yes,
really?
my
Wow,
last year
that
of
is.
high school before I dropped out, we had computer class. I mean, I had computer class back in middle school.
Mhm.
I mean, we always had computers. Now I had, I tell you something funny, because I was a bad kid. I was a bad, totally horrible student.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was always in trouble. Which aside from school, I was always in trouble with the law or whatever. But even in school, but I tell you something weird is that when I was in, let me see, I think I was in eighth grade. I ended up in alternative school. The school for bad kids.
Right.
And we had the most modern, up to date, internet connected computers.
Really?
Yes, And this was, all right, let's see,
Now
eighth
wait,
grade.
was that private funded or state funded?
It was state funded. Now,
Of course, it's state funded.
yeah, it was
They
state
always
funded.
give more money to the alternative schools.
How old was I? Eighth grade, I was 13?
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, 13, 14, something like that. That was in 93, 94. I was born in 1980. So 93, 94, yeah, we had the internet. We had local intranet. We could connect to each other's computers. I remember in the alternative school there were 8 computers, and of course most of the guys they didn't give a shit. They just got in fights and whatever. But I sat there and played with that computer. And as a matter of fact, there was another guy, and his name was Parrish. He was a young black guy, and we sat there and hacked those computers. And we got into the intranet. And once we got into the intranet, and they never found out about it, it took us like 2 weeks, and we ended up manipulating the state school system. They ended up having to replace the hard drives on a few of those computers.
Nicely done.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But and as a matter of fact, if any of them ever listen to this broadcast, yeah, it was me and Parrish. But yeah, so but that's, I mean, that's what we were doing, and that's why I'm emphasizing is that my particular age group, it was so fucking pushed on us that it's
So
like,
why didn't it catch on? I mean,
because
it must have been pushed.
you're
It
talking
must
about a
have been pushed on
majority
at
of
the same
people.
time.
There's a majority of people out there, and there are only few people that completely can understand computer programming, can understand the internet and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know.
I understand that
Intelligence
it's highly
is
specialized,
static.
you know.
It is highly specialized, but you asked an entire generation to do it.
Yeah, but India's an entire country.
Well, that's right, but you know what? Those people's minds are geared for that. It's just like Orientals. You ever, and I hate to generalize like this, but you hear about standardized tests and stuff. Orientals always do better.
Right.
Period. Fucking get pissed off at me about that generalization or not, but it's fucking true. Every single statistic you will ever see about standardized tests, you'll see that Asians do better.
Mhm. That's true.
And so, all right.
Are you just talking mainly about like IQ levels and stuff like that?
Well,
It's
like
not even
SAT.
IQ levels, because I know smart people who do like shit on standardized tests. It's not IQ. It's just
Right.
what
Yeah.
people are able to do. I mean, like what skills you have, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. It,
Right.
it it comes up to, you might have a certain enhancement in this area or another. That's why IQ's bullshit. But it just, what I'm saying is that what I don't, it's not very complicated. It's just hard to put into words the way that I see it. So like I said, my generation, this is 94, 95. I was class of 99, and they were, in other words, and I don't know if that made a lot of sense to you. I was class of 99.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then that's when the tech bubble burst.
Right.
Now, when I was 15, 16, I mean, dude, if you weren't going to college to learn something in the technology field, I mean, you were being left behind. I mean, that shit was put in our head by our guidance counselors. Everybody was telling us that. So all right. So the tech bubble burst. And even if it didn't burst, it didn't matter, because not everybody adhered to that. I didn't. I didn't bother going to college or anything. I was like, fuck this, I can do whatever I want. But
You're
But
such
it-
an anarchist.
well, no, I'm just saying that,
Hey.
we had
Yeah.
a lot of people, that it was so pushed upon, but America did not have the natural resource of people to fulfill these jobs. And that's not why the tech bubble burst. It burst because it was destined to.
Right.
But
Most
when it
construction
did
problems.
burst, you get India. You get people that they're desperate for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You get people that have the mind for jobs. Indians are Asians,
Right.
and
Their own
and
areas, right.
and they go there. So all right. So Indians now have all the jobs, and our generation forsake those jobs. They're gone.
Yeah, but don't you kind of see like in America now? You see a lot of business majors, specifically marketing majors.
Hmm.
I mean, all right,
But that's
I'll admit
that. But
that's
see,
not
that's a consequence of giving up the IT stuff.
right.
That's
But don't you
that's.
think that America in general is kind of more, um, I don't know, a little bit more talented or skilled as far as salesmen?
Mm, well, yeah, they are, and they're talented and skilled when it comes to innovation.
Right,
And that's when we talk about like China and stuff, and I'm always thinking in the back of my head, of course, well, they're not going to innovate anything. They're not going to change anything and make anything new. They're not going to come up with any new ideas. I mean, America does that. That's what we do.
right.
You
Well,
know, so
you're saying India doesn't do it. That's what you're saying.
they're not going. They haven't so far, and
Right,
they're probably not going to because of mass corporations specifically.
right,
Indians do have it in them, but because India was taken over by mass corporations, then you've got groups and warehouse fulls of people over there answering, phones and call centers,
right.
hindering progress. And it's the same thing that goes on in the United
Yeah, I
States.
mean,
Right now, we have exactly what you were saying was marketing jobs and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think that's doing for progress? Nothing. Same thing it's doing in India. How much progress has come out of the United States in the past 3-4 years?
Well, doesn't India
not
have like a
much.
booming hospital, like spa
Sim-
slash hospital industry?
Simply because their economy can undercut ours.
Mm,
But they do have the best doctors.
hmm.
But it's cheaper because of their economy. It's not.
Right,
It's not because of the doctors. It's just cheaper. They do have good doctors, of course. I mean, hell, we got Indian doctors, and they're better. They're just
right.
better doctors. Indians are better at stuff.
Well, they seem like more based off of like technical stuff, like
Sure,
in mathematics. I think,
reasonable deduction,
yeah. Well,
and
not. I mean, because that you can apply it to anything. You can probably apply that reasonable deduction to
well, sure, but it,
marketing.
it it applies logically to either
Oh yeah,
mathematics, the medical
mathematics.
field
Right,
perhaps, or internet technology
right,
or computer programming or whatever.
right.
So
Yeah, it's just an interesting. I mean, it's just an interesting situation because it makes sense. I mean, there, there are laws of economics that say you should maximize whatever factors of economy that you're really
yeah,
good at, and then send the rest that you're not good at abroad.
Adam Smith, yeah,
Was
but
it Smith?
Adam Smith,
He did one of them? All right.
economist.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I know he is.
well, no, it's just, yeah, there are laws, but laws are broken. I mean, there were laws of physics before Einstein,
Yeah. Right.
and there are people that argue those laws, even after Einstein, because they don't believe Einstein. But you know what? Einstein had some good fucking ideas.
Right. Well, yeah, it's the entire quantum physics thing. Yeah.
That's right. He got it started. And a lot of people, I tell you one funny thing about quantum physics is a lot of people that follow quantum physics that buy into string theory, they don't like
Hmm.
Einstein. They say he was conservative and stubborn.
Right.
He
Well, he.
started it.
Well, yeah. I think what they're
He
upset
wrote
about
the
is that he's
book on
still.
quantum physics.
But yeah, but he was still coming out
Literally.
of the Newtonian. Oh yeah, the theory of relativity. But he was still coming out of the Newtonian theories, so he was still
Well, he
based.
struck down Newtonian. I mean, he said, well, basically, well, they're laws, however, they can be bent and broken,
Right.
but they're still
Yeah, but
there.
yeah, that's what, and I think that's what the quantum physics guys, don't like. I mean, that's what they always have these
And that's,
weird.
and you know what? And it's funny because I'm actually saying that about the economy. Is that, you know what? Even right now, they still teach Newtonian physics in school. You know that.
Right.
In your middle school classes, especially. I don't, high school they may get into a little more advanced, but if you're speaking about basic science, physical science, they're going to teach you Newtonian physics. Period. And it's fucking hilarious because they've been proven wrong again and again. But that's just the thing. But what I'm saying about the economy is essentially the same thing. Is that okay? There are certain laws that could be upheld throughout time. You could hold these as sacred as you like. However, there are new ideas out there, and these new ideas may even prove these laws wrong. Now you can uphold these laws on certain levels. Okay, say, the level of a regional level or a state level or something like that. However, when you start to get on the global level, you've got to be receptive towards these different ideas.
Right.
And these different ideas are what drives things forward into progress. And this is what the economy resists. I mean physics
Well,
resisted
it's not necessarily
relativity.
economy. It's not necessarily economy. It's just politics in general.
Well,
You know, they
well,
stick
it's
they
both.
stick to the
Well, that's what I'm
they
saying. That's what's so fucking complicated about it all. Is that
right.
it plays into everything. It plays into society. It plays, in sociology. It plays into economics. It plays into fucking physics. It plays into all of that.
Right.
Is that everything can be changed by any amount of input. So it's like, okay, well, we got this new input, and we can uphold these laws, or we can take this input. So it's like, all right, how fucking stubborn do you really want to be? Because these laws have been proven wrong over in this field, and you get these new ideas over here. So how long are you going to uphold them before you're receptive to their ideas? And personally,
Well, that's what
I'd
ties
rather
into
go
your
ahead and
progressive.
open up and take them.
Well, that's what ties into your progressive mentality,
Yes, absolutely.
politically and economically.
That's why I don't ever like Sally wants me to do. She wants me to declare a major or something.
Yeah, declare a major.
Yeah, but no, it doesn't work that way
Yeah, you're gonna
because
break the ethics.
I see that it's like I said. I mean physics. You're taught that. Sally, right now you're 16 years old. You're being taught that in school. Newtonian physics. They're wrong.
Chemistry.
Whatever.
Next year's physics, right?
Physical science, or even, you know what, I tell you what, I was in applied classes all the way up until I left school. I was in all the applied classes, and even in the applied classes, all the way up until 8th grade, we were told that Newtonian physics were correct. Now when I got into high school and I got into advanced applied science, when I was in ninth grade, I was in class with a bunch of seniors, and they were talking about relativity, and they started introducing Einstein.
Right.
This was the introduction to relativity in like these guys' senior year, and mine too, basically, because there's no more advancement after that. This is what the school offered. This is it. I can keep taking this class or whatever. Well, I was on the track to graduate when I was 16 anyway, but the fact is that this is what they, you know, and it's like this is so wrong, and I even knew it then. I had studied relativity. It's a piece of cake, except for the math behind it, of course, because I don't get math. But the concepts, it's easy.
Oh yeah, I could understand that. All right, so
But
you're saying it is actually easy as Newtonian? Because I haven't, I don't know, I didn't want to
the
quantum mechanics.
conceptually, it is. I think to me, I get
Right.
it. It's easy because it just takes Newtonian to another level. But people don't see it that way. Either it's make or break. But I'm trying to say that the reason I even bring that up is that I'm drawing a parallel between that and the economy. And people like Adam Smith, they drew laws,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, all right, well that's cool, man. But however, and then
It's just
there's
comfort level, dude. It's just comfort level. That's
there's
all it is.
well, of course, it's security. But then there's the beautiful mind guy that comes and kind of shakes things up.
Yeah, John Nash, right?
Nash, that's right. I was searching for that. And there's Nash, and he kind of breaks things up a little bit. But he kind of stuck. I keep wanting to say, however, but it kind of breaks things up a little bit. But anytime you write something down, I think they become law.
Right.
When they're groundbreaking enough. And Newton had wrote the law for so long. It's like shit, man. And I don't fault. Hey, but listen, it's a lot easier to teach Newtonian physics than relativity.
Hmm.
I mean, for crying out loud, even explaining Newtonian to some people is a fucking obstacle. And it's like, okay, I give you an example. I got a good
White
friend.
people aren't that good at that.
Yeah, I had really, the math aside, I'm talking about just concepts.
Yeah. Right.
My old roommate, when I first bought this house, I had a guy. I worked with him, and he was living with me for a little while. And he had a girlfriend, and he brought her over, and we were all sitting around, and we were watching TV or some shit, and it was something about space or whatever, and he was like, the fucking, I don't know if he like spontaneously, I don't remember exactly, it's been a long time ago, but he was like, well, the Earth's rotation, if it were to stop, then the atmosphere wouldn't stay here.
Right.
And I was like, well, what? Because well, his whole theory, and here's the thing, I mean, I can't, I mean, because it kind of summed up for me what they were learning in high school, was that the whole thing was, if the Earth's somehow, I don't know, I can't explain this, but somehow the Earth's rotation maintained gravity. Now, in a relativistic world, it might.
Say that again. Say that again. His.
The Earth's rotation somehow maintained gravity because his idea was that if the Earth stopped rotating, the atmosphere would no longer be held to the Earth.
That actually does make sense.
Well,
Electromagnetic.
well, it's like no, magnetic
No,
field will never hold the atmosphere.
Gravity is what holds the molecules.
Well, no, what I thought immediately at the time, and what I
Right?
started to allude to, was that, in a relativistic world, perhaps you're right.
Right.
But,
It's great, dude.
I mean, you're
the
talking
atmosphere
about,
is
listen,
created-
you just said magnetic field, but think about that for just a minute. Because the magnetic field, uh, it doesn't encompass the atmosphere. Excuse me.
Or the magnetic field is like two big circles, like overlapping each other, kind of, sort of like a Venn diagram.
Yeah, but think about the atmosphere.
Well, if it was held on by the magnetic field, that means there'd be more atmosphere at the
We're
like the poles. Than
sure,
there would be in the
yeah,
center.
we're talking about 30 miles of atmosphere here,
Okay.
and it would concentrate itself around the poles, just like Sally just said. Absolutely, Sally. One for you, baby. But yeah, that's right. I mean, the magnetic field didn't play in. The reason that I said the relativity played in was the fact that perhaps in relativity that rotation based on curved space would perhaps draw in, of course, because that's what gravity is that an object moving through space,
Mhm.
that
Creates like a dimple.
it curves space in all directions all at once, thereby drawing. But that's the whole thing, is that based on relativity, is that it wouldn't even matter if the Earth revolved around the sun.
Right.
I mean, that was one of the rules by Einstein, is the Earth could stop completely rotating or revolving, and it would still be drawn in because it's still curving space. The sun is inconsequential unless you're counting in the inertia and momentum of the planet. But anyway, the whole point is that kind of what that did for me was kind of help me understand, the average, because he's the average guy, and that kind of helped me understand kind of the average perception of physics. Okay, well that's fine. So I relate everything to everything. So whenever I relate that over to economics, I relate that to, okay, your average guy is going to have an extremely localized understanding of economics. Okay, I earn X amount of money, therefore I spend X amount of money. I can either have savings or not, or I can spend this or I can do that. And so they get a localized understanding of economics, but they can never understand economics on a large level.
Right.
But if they
I mean, global economics is a separate class.
it seems to be, but it's not. It's only a separate class because it separated itself. It's the people that are in charge of the global economics that have separated it from the local economic scale. Because if it were still part of the local economic scale, then it would affect you directly, and that would be more cause to revolution.
Well, I mean, I've in a class called International Studium, which is basically just international studies. It's studies like economics and politics, and like all the examples that my teacher uses, like with external effects and collective goods and natural monopolies. He basically uses like small, localized examples,
Right.
involving like lighthouses and stuff. I mean, but he tries to like really, really, really simplify it, just so we kind of get like a basic understanding, and then
Well,
But
yeah,
the idea
sure. And it's kind of like, all right, well, the basic understanding is one thing, but to,
Yeah, but we're not studying to be, economics majors. We're
of
studying to be
of
marketing
course not.
majors.
But the reason I even interject there is because you say that global economics are a completely different ball field. Why? That's the
Well, I
biggest
think
question,
this
and that
as a social understanding of it, I think people are just intimidated by trying to understand, well, how the hell do all countries work together? Why would you buy if you have enough
yeah.
if your country is buying enough oil to sustain, or if your country can develop enough oil to sustain itself, why would you go ahead and buy some oil from someone else? That's actually in economics pretty standard. It's called competitive advantage.
Yeah,
But
but you
and people
still,
don't understand that.
but
People,
you still yourself. Well, yeah, I understand, but you still yourself separated the two.
oh, well,
But that, but well, but that's the academic difference. Is
well,
that
academically, yeah, they
academically, yeah, they will separate the two. However, it still works. It still works, but it's a little more complicated, but not much. It really isn't. It still works on a very basic model. Your original question was about China and Iran and Venezuela, and it kind of answers itself, I think, from my perspective, that if you base it upon that basic model, then
hmm
Iran and Venezuela are doing the right thing because
right.
they're combating something that, okay, you have to assume that what America doing is wrong. If you assume that what America is doing is wrong, then Iran and Venezuela are doing the right thing. And as long as
Well,
you assume
I
that,
right. Well, um, my assumption is that America's political um, actions are wrong.
oh well, you
I'm
can
not,
tie those into the economy. That's the interesting thing about America.
but it is possible for an economy to be, somewhat capitalist, somewhat capitalist.
Sure.
Um, I don't know. This would probably fit into your
Well,
neo-capitalist
no, it
ideas.
won't. I already know where you're going. I already know where you're going. Let me talk first,
Go ahead. Oh,
because
Jesus.
Sally and we've argued about this a lot. But you know what? I don't disagree with her. I do not, and I cannot beat that into her head enough. And if I ever meet her in real life,
Oh
I'm
no.
gonna bring a baseball bat.
Oh no.
Yeah, because
Beat her into retardation.
yeah. No, the thing is that I believe in a free market.
Mhm.
I believe in that. Free market's the way,
Right.
but it has to be based on competition.
Mhm.
And if you base anything on competition, then it naturally puts a handicap on anyone that reaches a certain level
Right.
because people will take advantage eventually. Period. You can't argue that about people. Even me. I mean anybody. It won't
Right.
matter. People will take advantage eventually. So you have to somehow handicap them.
Well, that's what you're. I mean, we were talking about that the other day about the ideas of regulations and certain
Sure.
tax brackets. That's. I mean, that's where that ties in.
Right. Well, I think that's where I assumed you were going.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're in agreement on that one.
Is that at a certain point you basically you got to stop. So all right, well fine. All right. So we get back into how the free market somehow plays into all this complicated political structure, and I think one of the main answers is that they have to operate separately. I mean,
Mhm.
I can't stress that enough. Corporations are bad. Period. And I say corporation because I'm using a label like Sally would. How dare you, Sally? But I say
Not
with
anything.
the current consensus on what a corporation is. That's what I say is a
Right.
corporation. All right. So those are bad
hmm
because of the way they operate, maximization of profits, whatnot. All right. So all right, fine. Now you've got to stop those, and you've got competition. essentially left over. And then once you get competition, now how exactly is the government to become all powerful or whatever? Well, if they operate separately, then they can.
Right.
That's the main thing. But right now they don't. Corporations contribute heavily.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
hear about it, on the news. Even in the news. So why are we hearing about this on the news? Is how heavily corporations are contributing to presidential campaigns or even congressional campaigns. Why are we hearing about that?
Well, I think Americans are kind of pro corporations and
Well,
like.
that's fucked up. Because these
Yeah, but I mean,
corporations.
but hold on. How can you say you don't like? All right, I can understand corporations as far as like national big fuckers like Walmart or whatever. But I mean, you were just applauding, Venezuela and Iran, but and you also said that that Venezuela nationalized their resources. That was the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that Chavez did when he came in. So how can you be in support of that while being?
I mean,
I mean, how can you be favorable towards the free
Mhm.
market while at the same time saying, well, they nationalized all their resources, yay for them.
I'm in support of that because the United States previously held control of it. So,
Right. So
yeah,
you're just in support of it because America is no longer in control of it.
basically. But my question is, and the reason that I always go on to say I don't know what their long term goals are is because I don't know what their long term goals are. You know what I'm saying? It's
No, I
like
hear you.
immediately, it is great. Take it away from America. By all means, fucking kick their ass.
Hmm.
And I'm totally fucking 100% behind that. But, you can do a lot of things with that. That's a lot of power that's put into Chavez's hands right now. Oh, a hell of a lot of power. And now what he
Right.
does with it is questionable. And now what he's done with it so far, I still agree with because at first he nationalized the national gas reserves. No, 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 wait a minute. That was Bolivia. He nationalized the oil reserves.
Hmm.
And now he's nationalized the natural gas. He's nationalized everything.
Hmm.
All right, so, okay. Still a decent step in the right direction. Decent. I say because it's like I said, I don't agree with nationalization of product. I don't agree with that. And I can't stress that enough to poor little Sally.
I get it. That's cool.
I don't necessarily agree, but what I can say is that I'm behind it simply because it combats something that I'm against.
Yeah, it's a big fuck you to American imperialism.
That's right. It
It's neat
hangs
in that
that middle
regard.
finger and it says, fuck you. And once you're defeated, we'll figure out something else. All right? Venezuela may have a global domination, which I doubt, but Venezuela may have that. Iran may have that. And we'll combat that when the time comes. But in the meantime, this is a step in the correct direction.
Hmm.
I see it that way. And listen, you guys, can you take the show for a minute? You may play a song. I gotta take a
Yeah, go ahead and
break.
play a song because I got stuff to do.
I'm starving and yeah. So
All right, I'll pick a song. What do we want
Yeah,
here?
I think we all have to take a break. Take a little break. Play something metally.
no.
Oh yeah, that's right. Metal
Aw.
for Truth. What?
Do
I
do
gotta.
you have any do you have any gospel metal?
What? No,
What?
don't. I'm not listening to Christian metal.
Primal
I've heard
Scream is about as far as that goes.
Well, I didn't mean gospel as in Christian. I mean just as in like clapping and choir and stuff.
I
That would
like
be
that stuff too,
cool.
Sally. I feel
You
you,
have to
baby.
admit that would be cool.
Oh, of course, but all right, I'll play. All right, here we go. Well, wait a
Slipknot.
minute. No, I don't have a lot of metal. Um,
Or Sepultura, I don't care. Yeah, Sepultura, they are very,
okay, Sepultura. Hold on, let me look
they're
and see what
very
I got.
political.
Yes, they are. I love Sepultura,
What's that?
especially for their political message. I'm gonna play Chaos AD. How about that?
Works for me.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I really want, and I couldn't, for one reason or another, find on LimeWire?
What's that?
Kaiwas.
Carlos, what's that? Is that
Oh! I can't believe you don't know what Kaiwas is.
Dude, I'm more actually into death metal, to be quite honest.
Oh, I feel you, but
I'm gonna go get some dinner.
Chaos
That's fine.
AD. All right, bye, Sally. Chaos AD from that album, Kaiwas, was their protest to the Brazilian government. And when the Kaiwas tribe in Brazil, they committed mass suicide in protest to the government.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, it was a beautiful song too. It was all drums. It was all totally fucking organic.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, oh, it was awesome. Anyway, I'm gonna play Chaos AD, and we'll be back in a moment. All right.
Cool.
So you just hang tight and be quiet. All right. Cause
Will do.
all right. All right. I'm back. Metal for Truth. Hello. I guess I'm all by myself here. That's all right. I was in there. I was in there fucking with my dog, and lost track of time. So, actually, you know what? I lost Metal for Truth, and Sally, she's on the phone, but she's gone. I don't know if he hung up or what. Gonna invite Metal for Truth back to the conference though, so I guess we can kind of wrap up. Can't hear you, buddy. No. Very, very quiet.
Oh, wait, there we go.
Hey, a little better. Can you give me a little more?
A little bit more right there? No? Yes?
It's a little better. That's all right.
Yeah, it's
That'll be
a bad
fine.
microphone.
All right.
I'll just shout.
I was in there. I don't know if you were listening. I was in there playing with my dog.
Missed that.
Yeah.
That's why I hung up, because I was trying to listen to the video. I was trying to listen to
Oh.
it on.
Well, the thing about like whenever I play the song for the room, anybody that's on the phone,
Right.
I mute my microphone to the broadcast, but you still hear my microphone feed.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that wasn't working right. Yo, wait, what album is that off of?
Chaos ID.
That's the name of the album?
Yeah, and I'd really like to get Kiowas, but for one reason or another, it just
Okay, alright, so you
doesn't
just said
seem.
Refuse Resist. Alright.
Yeah, yeah, I played Refuse Resist, and but I'd really like to have Kiowas. That was a beautiful song, and Kendricks is in the room, and it's talking about Go Barf Go. Unfortunately, Barf ran away. I've got Pee Wee.
Your dog ran away?
Yeah, Barf.
Barf.
Yeah, Barf. I was out of town, and my mom came over, and she was walking him, and he went nuts, and he took off, and he yanked her down, and she fell down in the yard, and he just busted ass and took off like he had somewhere to go, and he couldn't figure out where he went or whatever, but Hey, that's
Maybe they'll return to you. Who knows?
well, it's been a long time now. I'm sure he's found a great home, and I'm comfortable with that. And I've got Pee Wee here, and he's a good dog. He really is. I like Pee Wee a lot.
Keep you.
Yeah, he's a pretty decent animal. He barks at stuff that is happening. Well, I went in there. I was fucking with him. I was just stomping my feet on the floor. He hates that. If I just stand in place and stomp, he he'll bite my toes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, at least he's defensive.
Yes. Well, absolutely. And he was last night at like fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. He was fucking raising hell, and I opened and I went out and I was like, hey man, well, what the fuck? And I picked him up and I walked outside. I mean, he's a little dog. He's like a rat terrier, you know. He's a little bitty dog, and
Right.
I picked him up and I carried him outside, and there was these assholes across the street, and I was petting him. I was like, good dog, because he's like, I mean, these people across the street, they're like outside talking and stuff, and he's totally fucking barking and raising hell about it. It's like good dog, because if anybody's like cruising, you know, walking in front of the house or whatever, dude, he's gonna be barking.
He'll bite their leg off. Probably would be beautiful.
Yeah. So well, he doesn't have that much bite power, but he's I think he would try.
Right.
Is the main thing, and that's the most powerful to me. I'm glad that he has the heart to try. Yeah, good boy. So and Sally apparently is still not back.
What?
Oh,
No, I'm back.
well, what the fuck? You're
I've
the
been back.
co-host of the show. I
No.
came back and I was like, Sally.
I've been back for a minute, but I've been eating.
What are you eating?
Homemade vegetable soup with wheat stuff. It's like a stew. It's good.
Wheat stuff.
I'd love to kick your mom's ass, by the way. I would. I tell her too. Does she listen to the show?
No.
Oh,
She doesn't listen to her daughter on the radio.
of course
or the
not.
internet.
It's
Oh,
just
well.
like my parents. They don't give a fuck.
I'm sure they
But,
care more than you.
But
than
you, listen, if I ever make it out to Texas, Austin, perhaps,
Mhm.
I'm kicking your mom's ass
Why would
And
you
you're
do
bringing
that?
a baseball bat.
for feeding into that vegan bullshit, Metal for Truth.
My mom's not a vegan.
Yeah, but she feeds you that shit.
Doesn't feed me anything. I make all my own food.
Dude, when we
Well,
first
why are you
started the
eating it?
show, you were like, she was like bringing you something. I was like, what was it? You were like, oh, it's some cauliflower.
Uh huh.
Yeah, she's totally feeding you that shit.
Some cauliflower with a light brown.
Yeah,
It's lovely.
that's what I'm saying.
I like my cauliflower raw and cold.
I can't believe she
Oh.
let you. She deserves an ass kicking just for letting you eat that way.
Letting me eat cauliflower?
Letting you be a
She's
goddamn
starving
vegan.
you. She's starving you. You're gonna not get enough
No, she's
iron
not.
and get anemic.
I eat plenty of food. Oh, I used to be anemic, but Like,
Wait a
I-
second, all right? You just let me see something here. I'm trying to connect Steven with us here. He's my
oh no,
nutrition
not
expert.
now.
Oh, just to get a few minutes. He probably won't answer, but we'll get a little introduction because he's a nutrition expert. Let's see, it's still ringing. Apparently he's not going to answer, but I mean I can listen. It's so unhealthy for you to eat the way you are.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's just ringing.
Maybe I should buy a cow.
No, maybe you should eat a cow.
No, I'm
Yeah.
never eating meat.
Chew them up. Why not? It's good.
I thought you just had a problem with vegans. I didn't know you had a problem with vegetarians.
Wait,
Well-
are you technically a vegan or?
Yes.
I'm a
No.
vegan.
She's a vegan.
Okay.
Vegetarians
Oh, I-
aren't that bad. But listen, a good friend of mine, his girlfriend, well, his name's Johnny, and his girlfriend, she's a vegetarian. And you know what? I had a major crush on her. It was a real secret, you know. And I would have banged the hell out of her at any given moment. But she's a vegetarian. But you know what? I could bring over. I would do this. I would bring over like some fish
Mhm.
or something, and she would, she would cook it. I mean, she would cook it on the grill or whatever. Not that I had caught her, I'd buy it and I'd bring it over there just so she could cook it because it was good. She was a
Mhm.
good cook, and she would cook some salmon or some whiting or something on the grill with lemon and all that and some peppers and it was good food. And she would sit down and eat it, and she was just altogether just a cool trooper.
She was a pesco vegetarian.
Well, she was a vegetarian. She just once a week maybe she might eat some fish or perhaps some chicken. She wouldn't get into the red meat, you
Yeah,
know.
people for some reason have a problem with red meat.
Well,
Mhm.
well, I know,
Well,
and I,
was she doing it for health reasons? Because I do it for moral reasons, and that's totally different.
Oh god.
exactly. Well, that's the.
You know what? Plants have feelings too. That's what I have to say.
Well, I brought that to her attention. I think before that that self-righteous kind of I'm
Yeah.
better than yeah.
No, I don't think I'm better than anybody. I just don't want to have like blood on my hands. Blood. On
Right,
my hands.
but you've actually got blood on your hands in other ways.
Mhm.
But of course, being a vegan is the easiest way to say,
Yeah,
oh, well, I'm no
course.
longer
No, it's not,
contributing
it's,
to.
no, no. It's not like I just stop there when I try to minimize the negative impact I have on the world. I mean, in other ways I try and minimize that as well. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
I'm a
Sally,
personal,
do you eat
I'm a
Jello?
personal pacifist. No, I don't eat Jello.
Of course not. How dare you ask that of a vegan?
Oh, I
Metal
just
for
wanted
truth.
to see.
She
Maybe
may be a
she did.
vegetarian. A vegetarian may eat some Jello from time to time, but not a vegan. How dare you?
I wanted to see if maybe she didn't know about that and maybe
No, I
catch
know
off guard.
about it.
No. How dare you?
Damn it! Damn it! So wait, does honey fit under the vegan thing as well?
Well, see, that one is up for debate. No, it's funny because it's actually relevant. I just started eating honey again. Like, I was like, no, I'm not gonna eat honey, right? It was
She
completely,
boycotted honey for a while.
no, it was completely retarded because, bees don't feel pain. It's not like harvesting honey really does anything bad
See,
to bees.
that's a whole nother hierarchy of the vegan mentality is that
Mhm.
they say, oh, well, such and such doesn't feel pain.
Well,
That's
what
one of
it's
the more
about.
interesting
John,
dynamics
that's
of the
what it's
vegans
about.
is
Wait,
that they
the
don't
bees
feel
don't do
pain or
anything.
whatever. But bees, listen, every animal, every living thing, even fucking plants feel pain.
Right.
Plants don't
Have you
feel
ever
pain.
have you ever played with a Venus flytrap, perhaps?
I don't eat Venus flytrap.
Well, I understand, but they're a plant. It's entirely.
Does it feel pain? Does it have a central nervous system?
Mm-hmm.
I think everything has a central
Venus-
nervous system that's alive.
Of course.
No, not nervous systems.
Well,
Yeah,
sure,
it's-
of course. You
it
pluck
sends
one of the
signals, yeah.
leaves off that Venus flytrap, it's going to react. It hurts. It sucks.
Right.
It relies on that for its natural processes. Period.
Mm-hmm.
It relies on that to live.
Plants have a xylem and a phloem, but it's not a nervous system. It's not like.
What I'm saying is that
The only
you're hindering
negative-
its. Whether it has that or not is just one thing. That's a different
It
layer
senses
of the whole
damage.
argument.
No, it senses damage. That's
Of
the important
course.
part.
Well,
Sensing
that's the
damage is
first
different,
layer.
though.
You can first take that into consideration and say, oh, well, it hurts. It does.
So hold on, you can create damage, Sally, like torturing a plant, but you can't. But like killing is bad. So torturing is okay, but killing is bad. Is that the idea?
I never said torturing is okay.
For Steven.
Yeah, you guys are just being silly.
Of course, because we hate this whole vegetarian.
Vegans are retarded. Sally, wake up, baby.
No.
I care about you. I want you to be healthy and happy. And although you might think you're happy or whatever, and I'm sure that you possibly are, practice a healthy lifestyle. Eat stuff that is healthy for you. Think
Yeah.
long term. Short
That
term,
because
you might have a
steroids
little
are-
self-righteousness, but
It's
long
not
term,
self-righteousness. It's
because
not
the
self-righteousness.
long-term effects of veganism
Look, I don't hang it over anybody
are
else's head. It's not
dry,
self-righteousness.
pale, pallid skin, knobby knees, hair. Listen, you'll develop
Basically
hair in
look like
places you
Marilyn
never
Manson.
thought it was supposed to be. And it's not because you're hitting puberty. It's because your body is trying to immunize itself. Yeah, you probably got one hell of a happy trail, don't you? Or perhaps not yet. Are you giggling because you do, or what?
No,
I
I'm
think you
giggling because that's a weird question.
No, it's not a weird question.
It wasn't a good question.
Your
Ha-
body will develop
Is it?
natural offenses to things,
Mhm.
and it's also true, of course, the body develops natural defenses, but the body, whenever you develop a natural offense, something like body hair,
Okay.
the body has certain effects to certain amounts of input, and you're given an input that will incline it to do certain things. Now, all right, boom, there it is. It's back. I apparently
I'll tell
unplugged it
them.
with
I'll
it.
tell everyone in the chat room. Too
Yeah,
about
tell
that.
them it's back. I unplugged it with my feet. Anyway, no, what I'm saying is that okay, aside from the fact that you might protest or whatever, what I'm saying is that your body needs,
The nutrients from meat, yes, that is correct.
What
and it's been
does our body?
accustomed and attuned
What do our
to
bodies need from
processing
meat?
these.
Huh?
What do our bodies need from meat?
Well, I mean, protein for one, and I'm sure
You can get
you're gonna.
protein from anywhere else.
No, you can't. Maybe like soy protein and artificial protein, but the protein
No,
from meat
not
is.
just soy. You can get it from you can get it from
Legumes.
combining different foods. Yeah, you can get it from beans, legumes. You can get it from all sorts of things.
That's a terrible word.
I know it's kind of weird to say, but I like it.
Well, you say you can get it by combining all these foods, but listen, you could sit down and have a goddamn chicken sandwich and sum up a whole week's worth of eating
Yes.
fucking broccoli.
No, like well,
So-
and like as a child being a vegan, I mean, there's proven studies that showed people who were vegans when they were children. They were actually they were when they grew up they were smaller and more lethargic than actually people that.
Well, there have
I,
been
uh,
fucking. By the way, there have been lawsuits
Well, I-
against parents who have
Well, not only
enforced
that, like-
veganism on their
Yeah.
children
Yeah, well, like the
that's-
and been held liable for their children either dying or
Yeah.
being
well, no,
malnourished.
okay, no one's forcing me to be a vegan.
Well, that's
Two,
that's what makes
two-
it worse, Sally. I'm
Two,
sorry.
I'm 16. I'm not I'm very close to being done growing as.
Well, that's what makes it worse. Is that for
Yeah.
God's
I'm
sake,
still
your
growing.
body is still growing, baby.
Why? I'm 5'8". I'm
Yeah,
tall.
but you're still
I'm
growing.
good. I'm
Puberty
good
is still
growing.
happening, man. And
I don't-
and your body needs all this nutrition. I mean, it needs so much right
like,
now.
yeah, I
It
mean,
needs more than you can take, by the way.
even if you take the pills and stuff, it's still not gonna like give you the same effect as eating.
Hey, Steven,
meat,
tell the difference between a vitamin supplement and actually eating food that contains
Well,
the vitamin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, just,
I know that.
And I mean, especially not eating meat. Like, have you got like your iron level and your B12 level checked? Like, have you? Because vegans, they're really, yeah, I'm sure you know, I'm sure you research this, but vitamin B12 and iron's
Uh-huh.
like they're deficient in that like crazy. It's really
Um,
bad.
No, I eat a lot of like
Don't they
leafy
change color?
greens. I eat like spinach and lettuce and
Sally, that was a question.
what? No, I haven't gotten
Have
my
you-
levels checked. No.
Okay, well, perhaps
Well,
you
that's
should.
just what I'm saying. Like,
Because that's kind of it just reflects my overall point. That's why I wanted Steve.
well, I mean, yeah,
on.
I
Is
talked
that,
to him about it, and I looked up a lot of facts on it.
he can kind of nitpick this and that, but the
And
entire point is that there are specifics of the human body's nutrition that has been adapted for tens of thousands of years that you're denying it simply because you don't want to kill
Yeah, but
any
it doesn't
animals
matter if
or
I can get
anything.
those things from other sources.
But you
But
can,
there-
but you
question.
can't in the same portion over the same
The
amount of
other-
time.
yeah,
You're
it's all
talking
this-
about, I can eat a lot of fucking beans. All right, well then fine, but your body has to metabolize more to get the same nutrients from X amount of beans. I mean, you might have to
But
eat a
then-
pound of
then
beans
for
to a
meat
quarter
is not
ounce of
meat
meat.
is not good for you.
Yes,
Yes,
it
it
not
is.
good.
It
No, it's
is
not.
I
in
got a
an
question for
incremental
Steve.
amount.
Even nutritionists, they say like eat like a small amount of lean meat, like no bigger than your palm. You know, and they.
But
they
you're
a
still,
lot
but
of
see, they're
things.
saying that for a reason. You still
Well-
need the nutrients regardless.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that's what I eat.
I'm not
once-
saying go eat like a 12-ounce steak, every day.
Right. I don't do that. I mean,
Well,
maybe once a week I might have a burger or something
what's-
like that.
What's scary, like when I looked at this, the USDA, they did a healthy eating index, and
Uh-huh.
like for the overall nutrition for vegans, they scored significantly lower than non-vegetarians. Now tell me why. I mean, why would that be? Well, I mean, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's their eating habits, but that's just in one case scenario. I mean, yeah. Hold on, I'm sorry, one sec. Let me call you right back.
Fucking next guy. All right.
But I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not gonna deter you. You know, you're gonna do what you want to do. But I'm just saying, like, eating meat is not like, and John was telling me you don't eat it either because I guess you're kind of like save the animals in a sense.
Moral. It's a 100% moral. That's the whole thing. Is
But
that
it's
we're
like
not
you-
talking
so-
about necessarily nutrition, but I'm trying to bring that to her attention.
But like, if you don't eat it because you don't want them to like slaughter animals or whatever, what about when they like, when they plow the fields and what about the rabbits and all that when they plow the fields for the grain and stuff? I mean, they lose their homes and they die too.
Yeah, that
I saw that argument on Maddox. I didn't want to read that article about that. On
But, like-
Maddox.
Well, sure. I'm
no.
sure that those arguments are out there. If you were to create an entirely vegan
Yeah.
infrastructure here in
Yeah.
the United States, then a lot of natural
Okay.
animals,
Let her talk, Sean.
rabbits and squirrels or whatever, they lose.
Well,
their,
they do when they plow the fields. They do.
Well,
But
that's
Ron,
right.
What do you got to say?
Well, one, it doesn't. Not all foods, not all vegetables have to be grown outside. I mean, hydroponics is an amazing.
Sure.
It's an amazing field of work right now, and I think it could do a lot for world hunger and the economy and things like that. But yeah, farming animals that die because of farming practices, it really sucks. But there's something you can do.
But
about that, really.
it's all right
You
for the
can-
overall good.
Yeah, well, you can try
Yeah.
and minimize things, but it's not the.
That's what I'm
matters-
saying about fucking
No, John, what
animal
matters-
farming as well.
John, what matters is it's the end product.
Yeah.
When when someone like gets in the beef industry, the main goal of that industry is to kill cows, and the more cows
Oh,
you kill,
what?
and the more.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm good. You know what? Listen, Steven. I gotta tell you something. All right. You still there?
Yeah.
I gotta tell you something. I'm starting up a business.
What's this?
I got some capital. I got like $10,000. All right, we're gonna buy 2,000 acres or whatever we can in Idaho, and what we're gonna do is slaughter cows. That's our fucking goal.
Okay, well,
We're
the
gonna
goal
do-
is to
Sally,
butcher
wait a
the
minute.
cows and
Sally,
sell the meat so people can eat them.
We're gonna do whatever we can
But
to make
Sally,
sure that we slaughter as many cows as possible.
Sally, like, look
It
at
doesn't
like,
matter.
what about
God damn it, we're not even
no,
gonna
but
brand them.
slaughtering animals? I mean, it's written in like history, like back in the day when cavemen, when they
No, how dare you?
Look- No,
It's
seriously.
a capitalist. No, we're going to slaughter as many animals
No,
as we
I mean,
possibly
seriously.
fucking can. It makes
It's
more
a-
sense that way.
it's a
I can't
survival.
believe that you don't get it. I can't believe
No,
it.
that's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous. How dare you? This is my belief structure where I'm going to slaughter fucking 100,000 cows this year.
Oh, John, what you could do is you could turn it into like a hunting thing, like
No, I'm just
oh,
I'm
like the quail
I'm
hunting
cutting their
that
heads
fucking
off.
Cheney did, you know? Oh, you want to just cut their heads off?
Yeah, I mean, Sally, you think they do that because they enjoy it? Is that what is it? Do you think it's like some sick mental thing in their head?
No.
I mean, what would you expect the cavemen to do? And the Neanderthals are way back in the
No.
day, like.
No, my point is that like now we've evolved as a civilization that we can get away with not relying on.
really
Well, who's real? I mean,
Yeah,
no
and
because
Could all
because
be
in the
vitamins.
caveman times, talking about the caveman, they ate to live.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
And you really think you've gotten away from that? The only thing you've gotten away from that from is
It's the
that-
luxury part.
No.
Yes, the fact
we
that
have-
you don't have to kill it yourself.
Yeah.
But
no,
you have ingrained yourself into a
we
community,
have
a consumer
we have the ability,
society.
hold on. We have the abilities to have farms, and it actually costs less to be a vegetarian.
Absolutely,
than it
but in
does.
order to balance your diet that you've become accustomed to over thousands of years, you have to you need to eat
No,
this stuff.
you don't need meat, and you haven't listed anything that would show.
And I've listened to it.
I gave
I've
you some
listened to it.
studies.
It's just a lot of work. You've got to eat fucking 3 pounds of beans to equal a pound of goddamn hamburger. I can eat 2 hamburgers and equal a week's worth of your goddamn eating. It's a fucking waste of time.
I
That's-
don't think so.
I mean, the studies speak for themselves.
Yes, proteins,
Vegetarians and
the
non-vegetarians.
attainment of fat, cholesterol.
Do you eat a lot of soy protein, Sally?
I eat some. I drink soy milk, and every once in a while I eat tofu, but not a ton. I don't really like.
See, like tofu's deficient in calcium, magnesium, and iron.
Yeah,
know that?
of course. Tofu is just
Yeah, I mean,
bean
it's-
curd. It's nothing like magical. It's not a replacement for meat. other than
Well, they sell
like
it as
sometimes it can taste like meat. It's no way like.
And then, I mean, look at like this point too. Like, what about like your fatty acids? I mean, like your omega-3s and stuff, because obviously all that's in meat too and fish
Oh.
and whatnot. So
Yeah, but you can get
just
that
take
from
the
nuts
pills?
really easily. Omega-3 fatty acid, a handful of walnuts.
Who eats
is-
nuts for dinner?
I don't eat
You know
nuts
what?
for dinner.
Listen,
but,
I
like,
think.
nuts for
Listen,
breakfast,
Steven.
nuts with breakfast is really good.
Steven, if I remember correctly, Friday, didn't we go like out and I ordered nuts? we were at that restaurant downtown, right? And I was like, yeah, give me the nut dinner. And they brought me out everything, and dude, and after I ate that, I felt so fulfilled. I'm 100% nutrient efficient now. Yeah, and
Just
you know what?
say
After
that.
I ate the nuts, I was fucking out jogging. We,
No.
we went for a jog out in the park, right? We did Piedmont Park. Yeah, we took a little jog there. We're jogging and shit, and people are like, "What the hell did you eat tonight?" And I was like, "Oh, it must have been nuts. It must have been those nuts."
No, nuts are good though. They are. It's a really good.
Yeah,
source
they
of, like,
are.
the
And
good
I
fat.
eat nuts every day for
Eat them, like, all
breakfast.
the time.
Our snack guy at work, he brings unsalted trail mix, and he puts that in the machine. I eat that every single day for lunch or breakfast.
I mean, I'm not trying to get personal side, but like, are your teeth? How are they?
They're all fucked up. And
No, I
if
mean,
they're
it's
not,
like the
they
color.
will be by the time she hits her
Yeah,
early
because
20s.
you know, like, I mean, if you eat, fruit and vegetables, obviously they're acidic. So, well, like I said, I mean, what I do is studies speak for themselves. I mean,
Mhm.
and that's
I
all I
don't-
can say.
What I'm saying
I mean-
is that I don't have to do any extra work to be healthy.
Yeah.
I'm healthy simply because I eat right and I get enough exercise at work. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I might walk 3-4 miles at work a day,
Yeah.
and back and forth across the plant or whatever. And it's like, all right, well, fine. And so I get all that exercise plus what exactly you
What more do you
Chip
want
me
out
out,
of me?
boy.
That's what I'm saying is that I'm totally fucking healthy and happy. I've got a great. I mean,
Yeah,
my
but-
body. I don't have a model's body or anything.
She's gonna tell you, John. She'll tell you the same thing. It's the proof's in the pudding, man. Like, get the results. Let's get some test results just to see.
Test
No.
results are fine. You know what? Because 7 years from now, I'll still be healthy,
Yeah.
and she
Well,
won't.
do it. You should do it then. Get a blood sample, of a lipid or whatever, whatever you need. I don't know, whatever, and get that, and then do it in 7 years from now and compare. And then there it is. Bam.
Yeah, but by then it'd be too late because what I'm trying to do is help her to wise up in the meantime. That, especially being in her pubescent years, that she needs to get all of her nutrients and everything. I mean, I can't. I mean, it's like
I probably get more nutrients than the average kid, so
No.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
I'm
the
sure
average
that
kid
you
American
eat slightly
Wow.
healthier in regards to, okay, you get your vegetables and you get your fruits and whatnot, but you're not getting everything your metabolism demands. You're actually denying it something, which is the meat. Now you
No.
can give it. Well, wait a second. You can give it the proteins. You can give it the iron. You can give it all those things the meat gives it, but your
Yeah, like-
body is kind of programmed to process the meats that are already there, and the fact that you aren't means that your
Well-
body doesn't process it as efficiently as it would
Well,
if
wait,
you
I've
gave
got a
it the
question.
meats that it was
Does
expecting.
Does your body actually break down meat easier than like beans or something?
No,
No.
it takes longer for meat to digest than it does
Yeah.
beans and all
Okay.
that.
Well, could it be argued that it's actually better for your immune system to break down meat since it's like
Maybe not immune, but
Well,
maybe digest.
yeah, because it would keep it active. It would keep your metabolism overall more
Why?
active by constantly
Why?
having to metabolize things.
I mean,
course.
like I said, they showed more studies. Like, I gotta find this webpage again. But even in small amounts of meat and dairy, it doubled the physical capability and like the mental activity of patients. I mean,
You see
well,
what
they
I'm
got
saying?
their, they got their backup too. They got studies that are showing like vegans to have longer life expectancies and all this crap. It's like,
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's, but that's business, man.
yeah, but
That's how it is.
they also have show like they might do that, but they'll still get like osteoporosis.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there's like a high. People who were vegans and did that. They had high like prostate cancer and thyroid cancer stuff
Sure.
like that. 'Cause the soy. I mean,
Of
it's all-
course.
Oh yeah, I've heard that soy. I know about that.
yeah.
But
Soy can create.
that's not like about a vegan diet. That's just about a diet predominantly based on soy. And
Yeah.
But what you need, Sally, is a fucking physical workup, and we need the results.
I can get what's in milk from other places.
Yeah. But you gotta eat twice as much.
Who says that?
Fucking vegans, you crazy bastards.
No, you don't think there's a lot more nutrients in other sources than there are in milk. Like there's a whole lot of nutrients in just like leafy greens are like the best source of calcium and iron and things like that. And they're really yummy.
They're really yummy.
Oh,
Now I'm not gonna lie, John. You know what I did try the other day because I was curious and I was walking through the grocery store and I'm like, I'm just gonna try it just for the hell of it.
What?
I had some chocolate soy milk.
Yeah.
oh, God.
So,
Well,
It was-
I don't drink
it's
milk,
so
so I
good,
wouldn't
it's
be
so good.
impressed.
I wouldn't say it's nothing compared to chocolate milk by no means.
Sure.
but- It was okay. I mean, it's kind of like water flavored chocolate.
I'll tell you, I had a vegetarian thing a while back. Rice cakes.
Rice cakes are good, man.
I like rice cakes.
I don't look at that as more vegetarian. I more look at that just as a healthy diet, really.
Well, yeah, I guess you could, but I just
are rice cakes really healthy? They just seem like
They're-
well, they're not. I mean, as far as
Well-
snacking, they are. Instead of that, like a candy bar, yes.
All right. Well,
In
take
that
for
aspect.
example the Asian population. How about that? You want to do that? Because listen, lower occurrence of heart disease, obviously, lower occurrence of
Yeah.
cancer, lower occurrence of every fucking thing, including they have a longer life expectancy. Yeah,
They eat rice.
The oldest woman lives in Japan.
of
She's
course.
Like 120.
That's what I'm saying. So, all right, and you know what, Sally, unfortunately for you, they eat a lot of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, they eat a hell of a lot of fish.
I never ate fish because I don't like fish.
Well, you know what? Fish is good. I actually,
you had it?
know what? If
Yeah.
I had a choice,
What kind of fish
between-
did you eat?
Like I've had salmon and
No, you need
Salmon's
you
not
need like
that good.
snapper or grouper.
like-
You need some real
Yeah, grouper, man, grouper with
Ah.
some heavy pepper.
Man, let's go get
Oh.
some. 'Cause that's making me
Whale.
hungry, dude.
Yeah, no, grouper with pepper. I love heavy pepper on some fish, especially even
How about some whale,
catfish.
huh?
ew.
I've
Like
never had one.
straight up catfish with some good
Ah.
pepper on it.
I don't like
hot
catfish.
sauce.
I won't eat catfish. Hell no.
Oh, I fucking love
Catfish
catfish.
is good.
Catfish is nasty.
Fat catfish fucking kicks
I
ass,
can't eat
dude.
that just because, just the idea of it.
Oh, you fucking
don't even.
Italians.
Anyways.
Italians are fucking assholes. I'll tell you something about
Italian.
Come
Italians.
on, there's two Italians.
I know that you're Italian, Sally. But I'll
There's
tell
like
you
three
something.
Italians, dude. There's three
Oh, you're Italian. Well, let me tell you guys. Let me tell you, all you guys, something about Italians.
Okay, let me talk, John.
Italians have this kind of. They all have that attitude like Sally has. Like everything they eat is just so much better.
Yeah, because we're
But-
better cooks.
But like Sally, from a
Jesus,
morally
shitty.
point,
Uh-huh.
from like a moral point of view, are you religious? I mean, you Catholic,
No.
obviously. Oh,
No.
you're not.
No.
Now this is kind of messed up here. You gotta.
Why?
Well, I mean, you want to save the cows morally, but like, there's no religion tied in whatsoever. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. It's derived from I derive my moral code as far as that goes.
From some grainy pictures you saw
No,
from
from-
1970s.
from whether-
Somebody slaughtering a goddamn pig.
No, from whether or not something causes suffering or
And blah,
or anguish,
blah.
like mental anguish.
Yeah.
Wait, Sally, you supporter of PETA?
Oh no, because PETA often takes really violent means to further their cause.
Oh, see-
and they believe that animals should have
Fuck.
rights, and I don't
can't
believe
remember your name.
that a sapient being. can-
Jerry.
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 Okay, I got it. Right there when you said it, I got it.
No,
Jerry,
Yeah,
listen.
I believe sapient beings.
There's nothing worse than a vegan except for
Are
one that
PETA
has
vegan?
no. That has taken like a separate stance than the PETA vegan.
What?
No, so wait, hold on.
Nothing worse than
Nope.
that.
What
She's
were you
totally
saying?
independent, man.
Now you're saying
What?
you just said you're not trying to save the cows because you don't want them to die. Say that statement again. I didn't.
What the fuck do you want to say to
Yeah,
cows
well,
for?
somebody say it again. What?
What? No, I just want to minimize
Suffering.
suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering. What do you mean suffering? They eat, and they shit, and then they kill them, and then they process their meat. Well, how are they suffering? What? Do you know the exact process they go through? The meat farm.
Of course, because she saw those pictures.
Oh,
It's from the
I
70s.
actually read about it, John. No, I know.
Oh, you read about it. That's right. They
different
they
animals are
wrote
killed.
about those pictures
Hold on,
that they
can't
saw
let her
in
talk,
the
hold on.
70s.
But
All
it
right.
doesn't matter because no, a moral problem that I've come across that a friend of mine who hates me for being vegan, that he brought up was what if there was a way to kill an animal without
Sally,
causing it
I don't
suffering?
hate you for being vegan, by the
Well,
way.
no, but I mean suffering. In what sense? Like,
I do.
I actually love you for being vegan. Otherwise, we have nothing to talk about right now.
Yeah, this is like suffering. What kind of suffering? Tell me what you think kind of suffering they go through.
Well, pain in the first place.
From what? Like pain? What do you what kind of?
Venus flytrap.
From having their throat slit or
Venus flytrap.
No. Wait.
being prodded with the electric prod thingies and
Has nothing to do with slaughter.
No, you.
doesn't
I mean,
matter. It causes them suffering.
you know what? I would like. You need to take a tour, Sally, to a meat farm and see exactly what they do. I don't believe those statements.
You know what?
seriously. I honestly like. For me, I don't think the suffering as you explained they go through that. I mean, maybe back in the day they did, but now
Steven,
when I was
she'll,
watching it,
she'll come out the other side and she'll be all
Hold-
pale
hold on.
face and like.
No,
Yeah.
but I think it'd
throw
be
up.
good. I think it'd be interesting to see. I think really, honestly, like it's quick and to the point now. With a gunshot to the head, I'm pretty sure. When I was watching a documentary on the farm, I think 2020 or something.
well,
That's
I'll
with
tell you
pigs-
something. I've actually
well,
got
hold
one of
on.
those
With-
guns
with-
at work.
Okay, with pigs, what they do to try and have it be
Yeah.
humane is they line them up in little things and they shoot this like metal rod through their head, which is supposed to kill them instantly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it doesn't. And it doesn't matter because I'm against the mental anguish of it too. I don't want to like. I don't want them to.
Wait a minute. Whoa.
What?
Hey, 1 second.
How does a
I
pig
got it.
mental anguish when you point
get out.
something at its head?
No, because.
Are you saying that it realizes that it's about to die?
Hold on.
No, it's because they have to go through those little tube things and they freak out.
Yeah, he's got me
Mm,
in the conference. I gotta get out. Hold on.
no, because it's like a shotgun.
Johnny, I'm gonna go play some BFT.
All right, Steven.
Hi,
We'll see you guys
thanks.
later. Nice talking to you.
Enjoy your
Bye.
time, and
Alright,
I'll talk
bye.
to you later. Bye. All right. No, what I'm saying is that that's fine, but okay, well, fine. They experience everything. That's great. And you goddamn hold a gun to their head. Do you think they realize what the gun is?
No.
No. And the little shotgun and the rod that you're talking about that shoots at their head. Do you think they realize they're about to die?
No.
No. Okay. So now, how much mental anguish can they go through previous to being slaughtered?
In factory farms, animals are not killed like that. Animals
Okay.
aren't killed. Some farmer walks up behind them and shoots them in the head with a gun. They're
Alright.
not killed
All
like
right,
that.
fine.
It's not
How are they killed?
economically feasible. If we're talking about pigs, they go through the lines where other pigs are screaming and they can hear them, and
All right.
that freaks them out. And they're being prodded the whole time, and then they line up into these little cages, and the rod comes through and smashes their brain, or sometimes even
it's just-
squeezes, and all it does is knock them out.
Can you imagine? Wait a
Or
second.
some even stay
Jerry.
alive. No, I'm
Yeah,
Jerry,
yeah.
can you imagine being lined up in a cage and this rod comes through and smashes your brain?
No, because it probably happened so quick.
Are you sure? Come on, man.
You wouldn't even know what's going on.
No. Come on, man. I totally see this rod, right? And I'm standing next to all these other
Yeah,
pigs.
I know, John. Let me go on.
There's lots of other pigs there, and then this rod comes through and it
There's
smashes
this
my
big
brain.
shiny object. This
Hey,
big
dude, I'm
shiny
totally
object.
afraid.
I'm totally terrified out of my mind.
Yeah,
They're
dude,
pigs.
I'm freaking out. It's
I'm
this
going nuts.
it's
Hold
this
on.
goddamn it's this rod. There, oh my
Why
God, there's
does
a
the-
rod. It's
why
gonna
does
pierce
the-
my brain.
Why does my farmer have a rod in his hand? Why are my brothers and sisters screaming? Why are they chopping up my mommy? I I have no moral sensitivity for a
I
fucking
just,
pig. I'm sorry,
well,
dude.
it's
I
like,
don't care.
because there's no, you gotta consider, all right, well, pigs somehow, out of the
Why with the
domestication,
fucking
have
pigs?
attained some amount of, yeah, they have family values and they somehow value their own life. I mean, you're
Right,
talking
of
about
course,
like a
yeah.
year or
That's
two of life. Now, when you were 2 years old, how much did you value your own life?
I just like to play with my mommy's boobs.
I mean, really, Sally, when you
Uh-huh.
were 2, perhaps even 3, how much did you value life?
How much
What?
were you even aware of? I mean,
Oh,
that's the question, you
probably.
know?
Well, okay, well, that's hard to guess because
Of course, it's hard to
I don't have any
guess.
memories from that far.
Yeah, of course you don't.
But
But
it doesn't mean
even
you're
if
not
you did, they would
self-aware of
be,
that
I'm
time.
hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry,
No, because
I need to sleep, I'm tired.
whether or not you remember something doesn't mean you don't feel it at the time. This
And
just
that's
has
fine.
to
What I'm
apply to
saying is
animals.
your
This
memories
is-
from that time would be basic survival instincts.
if I
Right.
remembered something, but no, at the time, 5-year-old children. This has nothing to do with animals, but I'm just clarifying. Young children, still have emotions. They still have
Right.
fear and sadness and happiness and all that.
Absolutely.
It's not just
How
and
many?
they can reason too. They can read and do math problems. I did math problems when I was 5.
That's right.
It's,
But
it's
how
not
many?
just
How many?
things.
How many pigs
But hold
do
on,
you
wait, hold
know
on, wait.
are
I
raised
say
beyond the year of 2 years old?
I don't know any pigs.
Yeah.
Okay, here, let me read you this thing that I got out of my book.
No, I don't want to read.
Yeah.
No, Sally, I got on
Yeah.
your last fucking show. I
Fine.
said, do not read shit. I want your opinion. I want to know
Why?
what you think
No,
about this.
this is how I'm just.
This has
gonna
all
read you
come
how
from
the
my
animals
head.
Die.
What?
How the animals die because I
Okay,
can't
all
remember
right,
how the animals
Jerry. Shh.
yes.
All right, let's listen. Go ahead, Sally. Don't fuck
die.
it up.
Yeah.
Oops.
For cows, cows get a metal bolt shot in
Did
the
they
skull
type?
and then retracted. No. I'm
All right.
I'm
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
paraphrasing. When done properly, the whole metal bolt through the skull thing. Using working equipment, this renders the cow unconscious, but time is money and slaughterhouses operate at lightning speeds, some killing one animal every 3 seconds. Because thousands of frightened, struggling cows are not easy to stun, it is extremely common for a stunner, the guy who does it, to miss his mark. Panicked hogs also find it difficult to, are difficult to hit. I messed up. Why'd you say don't mess it up? Now I'm all paranoid. Anyway, so yeah, hogs who don't die at first are hit with an electric device, and if the jolt is too high, it bruises and bloodies the hog's flesh, which is bad for business. Because business comes first on factory farms, the jolt is lowered, despite the fact that it doesn't properly stun the hogs. Stunned or not, cows and hogs are then strung up from the ceiling by a chain attached to their legs. In theory, while they dangle there, they are supposed to be unconscious, but often they are fully conscious, struggling, screaming, and fearfully staring at the worker while they have their throats stabbed open. Next, they travel along a bleed rail where they should bleed to death. But again, these large, frightened, struggling, conscious animals are difficult targets, and the stickers, the workers who cut their throats, don't always get a good cut. Before cows can bleed to death, they are sent on their way to the head skinners, where the skin is sliced from their heads while they are still conscious. Possibly. Of course, this is excruciatingly painful, and the cows kick and struggle frantically. To avoid getting injured by the struggling animal, workers will sometimes sever the spinal cord with a knife blow to the back of the head. This paralyzes the animal below the neck so the worker is safe. But these cows can still feel their skin being sliced away from their faces.
We can go on all night.
Yeah.
That's some of those
Well,
topics that you can
I'm just gonna stop it here, and that's I think enough said. And I
Are you
wanna-
gonna broadcast all of this, all the vegan stuff and the I don't know, 'cause it's a really
Well, I may cut some of it out, but yeah, I'll broadcast it. Sure.
John, I was studying for exams over there. Next time, I definitely want to talk about the North American. That's
Yeah.
You were supposed to call on
Like I
Wednesday's
said,
show.
like I said, I was studying for exams.
Yeah.
and it's
Well, that's fine. Well, within
You had
Wednesday.
exams already? Like,
January.
was it like, what kind of exams?
Finals.
Oh, that's so weird. I had my finals back in, like,
Well,
early
don't forget
December.
you're also in high school.
No, I had an ACC class. If that was, or actually earlier than our high school things. Alright. But you're in Germany, right? So
Yeah,
things must
it
be different.
is a slightly different. Yeah, it's a different
Yeah.
semester. Yeah,
Hey, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
What I'm saying is that, well, yeah, call Wednesday and we'll talk about the North American Union. And in the meantime, this is the end of the show. It's going on now for a little over 4 hours. So,
we gotta be concise.
so thank you, Jerry.
As always, a pleasure, my friend.
And
Lovely talking to you again.
absolutely, thank you, Sally.
Yeah.
I'll just leave this file transfer on, dude. The one that I'm sending you.
Well, 11%. What the fuck, dude?
It's in Germany. I think it's going very, very slow.
Well, yeah, no shit.
But I got the song for you. I listened to it already, so
It's awesome, isn't it?
it's pretty good. I didn't listen to the whole thing because I was.
How dare you?
I was talking to you guys. You know.
Yeah, but Kairos fucking kicks. I can't believe you didn't like stick with it. It's an awesome song.
I will listen to it again. Jesus H.
Yeah. All right. Well, good
All
night,
right,
you
man.
guys, and thanks for participating in the show. And good night, everybody else.